We got up bright and early to check out the Martin Luther King Day Community Breakfast.
For some, moving out may mean throwing away your money. For others, it can mean gaining a new possession.
A Eudora daycare worker appears in court today for the first time following the September death of a 9-month-old baby.
And here at the site of the burned vehicle, what we can see now, aside from some melted metal and some pieces of debris, there is a piece of the Honda plate, so we do know what type of car it is from that.
Hey, Stephanie. Well, as you can see, I couldn't help myself. I had to try this chili for myself, and I must say it's pretty good. Now, what we have here, we're at the 31st annual event of this. We just arrived here on scene at the 1300 block of Crosswinds Court, and behind me there was an apartment building that was completely engulfed in flames, neighbors say, and now it's been put out, as you can see, and on the other side it looks pretty bad as well, but firemen are working in and out of there just trying to clear it out.
And if you don't feel like taking a dip in the water like me or going to the library, other indoor favorites people told me about are the movies or going to a free museum in town. For 6 News, I'm Rose Claire. Back to you.
Here on Barker Avenue, huge cracks and divots all through the sidewalk could be a liability. The question is, whose responsibility is it? The city's or individual homeowners?
Barker Avenue resident Brad Risher returned from vacation to find a letter from the city.
It said we have less than a month till July 31st to fix our sidewalks.
He says his family's not the only one frustrated by the news.
I know a lot of people that there's no way they're going to have the money and the means to fix this. The equipment that's going to be required to jackhammer all this concrete up.
According to one contracting company, an individual homeowner fixing one portion of a sidewalk could cost anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. Courtney Shipley, who co-chairs the Lawrence Association of Neighborhoods, argues fixes like this should be on the city, not individuals.
You may be the kind of person who comes home and never uses your sidewalk, drives to work, never has time to be out walking, while all your neighbors and school children and elderly people using it for exercise or bicyclists are using it all day and they're not paying anything.
City Commissioner Mike Amick says in his 23 years serving Lawrence, sidewalk repairs have long been debated, and while his own opinion may not reflect the city's position, he cites a city report requiring millions of dollars in improvements.
We would have to come up with the money to be able to make these necessary repairs citywide, and the city just doesn't have the funds to be able to do it.
The city in an email cited state and local code. It shall be the duty of the owner of the abutting property to keep the sidewalk in repair. But Shipley has one piece of advice for homeowners.
I always tell them, call Public Works and tell them, I'm waiting for what City Commission says. I'm not going to replace my sidewalks until I have to.
And I'm told certain city commissioners have differing opinions on this, so if it's something you feel strongly about one way or another, it's important to do your research and get out there and vote in the upcoming elections. For 6 News, I'm Rose Claire. Back to you.
Stephanie, that professor, Jacob Dorman, has left KU and the state, but he tells me he's not the only professor to have done so, to have left for that reason. Meanwhile, another professor telling me he's not going anywhere just yet, but that he does worry he may have to censor his lectures in the future.
Professor Jacob Dorman taught history and American studies at the University of Kansas for a decade, until this past May, when he resigned for fear of working on a campus that allows guns.
Concealed carry on campus at KU will make it more difficult to recruit top candidates to come to KU in the future.
The 2013 law allowing concealed weapon carry inside government buildings temporarily excluded universities, but that ends this July, and Professor Dorman didn't want to stick around for that.
Responsible gun owners are not the problem. The problem, it seems to me, is that there are so many irresponsible gun owners.
According to data from Everytown for Gun Safety, nearly 1 in 6 school campus shootings between 2013 and 15 happened because of the presence of a gun, not in spite of it. And though Dorman's not the first to resign since the law's passing 4 years ago, other professors plan to stay on, though not without caution.
Are you going to not put those questions into the room that you know will cause people to become agitated or that are controversial? That is my job. That is my mission. But I'll think twice about it.
And Professor Kennedy's not alone in his thinking. Some students feel the same.
The reason I like to go to college is because professors are so uncensored, and we're choosing to be here and we're putting ourselves out there.
Meaning the fight for Second Amendment rights could essentially affect professors' First Amendment rights, which is why Professor Dorman's using his to speak out about the issue.
And safety may not be the only issue and concern here with this new law. Additional costs can be a concern as well. In 2014 in Idaho, 5 state schools had to request nearly $4 million in just the first year alone that guns were allowed on campus. So that may be a concern here in the near future as well. For 6 News, I'm live.
Here outside Senator Jerry Moran's office this morning, this was meant to be something of a thank you to the senator for his stance on the health care bill. But as you'll see, things quickly changed.
Protect our care, save our health.
Concerned Kansans came out to yet another indivisible KC rally Tuesday morning in Olathe. But this time, the sentiment was different.
Thank you, Senator Jerry Moran. Initially today, the vote was going to be a motion to proceed with the health care bill as the Senate had drafted it.
But tweets from Senator Moran the night before showed his opposition to the BCRA.
We're here because of late-breaking news yesterday to say thank you to Senator Moran for his position.
Senator Moran's announcement that he would be a no vote on this motion to proceed to allow the bill to move forward really sort of put the nail in the coffin of this bill that would have taken health care away from tens of millions of people.
But shortly into the celebration and rally to move forward, another twist to the plot.
We have come to learn that Senator Moran has agreed to support the repeal altogether of ACA with no replacement.
Many members went upstairs to Moran's office while his aides listened and took messages from Moran, who's in Washington.
So, I don't have a lot of faith in a repeal without a replacement ready. And what do we do for the next 2 years besides go into my husband's retirement?
In a statement, Senator Moran confirmed to 6 News his support to repeal Obamacare, but added, this should be followed by an open legislative process to craft health care policy that will provide greater personal choice, protections for pre-existing conditions, increased access, and lower overall costs for Kansans. And while the situation changed during the rally, the message stays the same, that the group must press on with their mission. For 6 News, I'm Rose Claire.
Good morning, I'm Rose Claire with your 6 News Morning Update. Good evening and welcome to 6 News, I'm Rose Claire. Hi, and thanks for watching 5 at 5, I'm Rose Claire, and these are your top stories of the day. Kansas Republican Senator Jerry Moran faced tough questions Thursday about efforts to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act at a town hall meeting in Palco, Kansas. Thank you, Adam. And speaking of that, we will check back in with Stephanie Bryant. The question about city funding actually concerns an additional request from Peaslee Tech, which the school says it's taking care of without the city. Thanks, Adam. And early this week, former basketball Kansas player Josh Jackson was convicted of a misdemeanor traffic violation. It's a 6 News update. This comes after Jackson backed into a parked car on KU's campus in February. The state is one step closer toward allowing people to pass through bars, restaurants, and entertainment venues with drinks in hand. Coming up after the break, we take a look at your morning weather.